Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lex's Lounge. How you all doing? Hope you're all having a good day. And yes, it is election night. And if you guys know me, then you know that I am going to be watching it as if it is the Super Bowl. I'm going to be really tuning in. Whether or not we get any definitive results going tonight, though I'm hoping that we do. And I'm also going to be watching some stuff that maybe other people aren't paying a lot of attention to. Namely, for example, we have five cannabis legalization measures going forward for voting, and mainstream media has almost not covered them at all. They are in Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, South Dakota, and Mississippi. Not all of those are recreational, but either way, still, five ballots, that's pretty significant. I haven't reviewed the initiatives in detail myself, so I don't know whether you should vote for them or against them. As I said in the past, most cannabis initiatives are passable as long as they allow personal growing. If they allow personal growing, then anything else wrong with the initiative can likely be fixed over time. Whereas if it doesn't allow personal growing and it's a recreational initiative, then it's probably too restrictive and too broken to be repaired. So bear that in mind. The other thing I'm going to be watching with quite a bit of interest is Measure 110 in Oregon. This is a measure to decriminalize possession for small amounts of all drugs. I think this is a wonderful initiative. It moves all sorts of minor drug possession from the criminal justice area into the medical area, which is exactly what we want to be doing with it. And the measure also changes some language to use some of the cannabis tax revenue for the treatment for some of those harder drugs. That makes sense to me as Oregon has gotten far more cannabis tax revenue than it was anticipating, and it really doesn't need to spend all of it on cannabis addiction recovery. It's just not going to any good use. So, yeah, hopefully Oregon makes that measure pass because that's a very forward looking measure by North American standards. And I'm also going to be keeping my eye in terms of the actual presidential and Senate races on the so called Red Mirage. Now, if you haven't heard about this, it's a phenomenon that analysts believe might end up getting caused by how people are voting this year. So, as you've probably heard, there's a lot of mail in ballots going on, and far fewer people are voting in person. It's also worth understanding that the people who vote in person will largely get counted tonight on election night, whereas the people voting by mail won't get counted for days and weeks in some cases. Now, because of how the two candidates and parties have set themselves up, there's far more people who are Republican and Trump friendly voting on election day, and far more Biden and Democrat friendly people voting through the mail in. This could create a mirage where the Republicans and Trump appear to be doing far better on election night than they will by the time all the votes are counted. It also means that if he and the Senate Republicans are losing during election night, then they're probably going to lose royally by the time everything's said and done. So keep an eye out for that. So there you go. That's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on as far as the election's concerned. The other thing that's really been on my mind the last week or so is Bitcoin and crypto. Now, if you've been a real long time regular on this channel, then you know that I've regularly mentioned Bitcoin and other cryptos as time has gone on. Here's just some of those episodes where I referenced it. And not a whole lot of you watch those, as you can see. Partially because the channel was way smaller, but partially because I'm guessing there's not a whole lot of crypto and Bitcoin bugs amongst my audience. But if you haven't checked out crypto in the past, then this may be your next best chance to do so, because that whole big bubble of Bitcoin in 2017, that was actually the third Bitcoin run. The first one was in 2011, the second one was in 2014, and then there was the 2017 bubble, or the run, whichever you prefer. But either way, it was a huge mania that popped. And then, as they did during the last couple bubbles prior to that, people just sort of forgot about Bitcoin for a while, even though it didn't go away. And if you look at its long term chart now, you'll actually notice that it's been hardening for quite a while and is now not only approaching the old peak, but approaching it rather aggressively. And this could be the start of a fourth Bitcoin run. So, yeah, if you want to get into crypto, it's certainly been exciting the last little while. And I would check it out. I'd also read a little bit into Litecoin and Ether. Those are sort of the two cryptos that I'm most excited about behind Bitcoin. And I'll link down in the description to Coinbase. It's the exchange that I use. It's probably the biggest exchange. And if you sign up to it via the link in the description and actually do a little bit of trading, well, then both me and you get $10 of crypto, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So that's it. Let's watch together and enjoy the outcome of election night. If this was informative and useful to you, make sure you're subscribed, that you've hit that like button, and we'll see you all next time.